Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 5.
It starts with that central dynamic, the love triangle, basically.
Right. At the start, Bao Yu and his cousin Lin Daiyu, they're like the golden couple. Our sources call their bond intimate and affectionate. Grandmother Jia absolutely adores them both.
But even within that closeness, the text mentions these occasional flaws of seeking perfection. They're both incredibly sensitive, maybe a bit high-strung, always finding fault,
With the world, with each other. And then into this intense little world walks Zhu Baoche.
And she's often set up as Daiyu's complete opposite. The sources really highlight her social grace. They mention her enduring character, her beauty, of course, but crucially, her behavior is huada.
Which means?
Well, it translates to something like open-minded, easygoing. But the key part is conforming to the times. She fits in. She knows how to navigate the social world.
And that contrast is just stark, isn't it? Daiyu is so inward-looking. She's described as isolated and self-exalted.
Yeah, that phrase, mubuche, literally, eyes without lower dust. Like she feels she's above the common run of things, a total idealist.
Finds the world a bit crude, maybe, while Bao Chai is the social butterfly.
Totally. She greatly wins the hearts of the servants and young maidens, people just like her. She meets them on their level.
And the effect on Daiyu is immediate. She starts feeling sullen and dissatisfied. That's the phrase, right?
Exactly. It's this real, almost physical melancholy that stems directly from comparing herself to Bao Chai, that social comparison sting.
And what's interesting is that Bao Chai seems completely oblivious.
Yeah, the sources emphasize that. Completely unaware. She just doesn't operate on that same level of hypersensitivity as Daiyu. She doesn't have that tendency towards drama.
So that really sets up the tragedy, doesn't it? You got these two fundamentally good people, but they represent such opposing ways of being. The poetic idealist versus the pragmatic conformist.
And their coexistence is just inherently painful, especially for Daiyu.
Okay, so you have this backdrop, this simmering pot of teenage angst and jealousy brewing. And Bayu, who seems kind of clueless about these deeper undercurrents.
Well, he's just tired after looking at plum blossoms over at the Ningfu residence. And Jia Rong's wife, Qin Shi, offers him a room to nap. A seemingly simple thing.
But this moment, this choice of rooms, it lays out the entire moral structure of the book. It's incredible.
It really is. The two rooms are like perfect opposites, representing two distinct paths. So the first room he's shown, it's all symbols of Confucian duty.
Right, there's that painting, the burning lantern diagram, Ran Lu Tu.
Yes, which is an old story, an allegory for studying hard, pursuing knowledge. Very proper.
And the couplet on the wall hammers it home. Worldly affairs understood our knowledge, human relationships mastered our literature. It's basically the voice of the establishment, the state, the family, the whole imperial exam system. Master society, understand people, that's the highest calling. And Bayu's reaction.
Instant rejection. He finds it completely unpleasant, hates it, tells them, quickly get out, quickly get out.
Wow. So he flat out rejects that whole path. Study, duty, social climbing. Everything his family expects.
Completely. And that single choice, you could argue, seals his fate. He's choosing to be an outsider right there.
So he refuses the room of, let's call it, virtue and duty, and then he's led into Qin Shi's private bedroom.
And the shift is just immediate. It's all sensory. It's not about duty anymore. It's about feeling.
The text says this fine, sweet fragrance immediately assaults the senses.
Itio. Yeah, ba.
Yeah,
and he likes it, finds it good and fragrant. It makes him feel eye-drooping and bone-softening. It's effortless. Unlike duty, it's surrender.
And the things in this room, they're drenched in history, but like doomed history. The painting is Haitang Spring Sleep Picture by Tang Bohu, beautiful women sleeping, suggesting fleeting, intoxicating beauty. And the couplet reinforces that. Tender chill locks the dream due to the cold spring. Fragrant air assaults the person as if it were wine. It's all about intoxication, vulnerability. But then there are the objects, these artifacts, each one linked to some famous figure associated with, well, ruinous passion.
Right. You have Wu Zixin's mirror, the powerful empress. Flying Swallow's golden dish, another consort known for luxury and intrigue, links to imperial excess.
And then there's that papaya, and Lucian's papaya. That one stands out.
We kind of have to pause there. And Lucian, the general whose obsession with Yang Taizhen, the emperor's concubine, sparked a massive, devastating rebellion.
One of the legendary beauties of China, Yang Taizhen.
Exactly. And the papaya is mentioned because apparently and Lushan accidentally scratched her breast with it while they were playing around. It's this object that connects sensuality, intimacy, but also violence and political disaster. So the symbolism is just piled on. This room is decorated with things that scream. Passion leads to ruin. Pretty much. And Bayu walks in, rejects the room of sober Confucian duty, and basically embraces this room decorated with historical warnings of decadence, doomed love, and tragic entanglement.
He chooses his path before the dream even properly begins.
He really does. And with that choice made, he falls asleep, and he follows Qinshi, or a dream version of her, into this dreamscape.
Described as vermilion rails, white stones, green trees, and clear creeks. Sounds beautiful, but maybe a bit artificial.
Yeah, it has that quality, and he's instantly taken with it. He actually thinks he'd like to stay there forever. Specifically says he prefers it to being beaten by his parents and masters back in the real world.
So he's actively seeking an escape from reality, from responsibility.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And while he's there, wandering, he hears this song, a prophetic song.
And it's just devastatingly beautiful, isn't it? Spring dream follows the clouds and scatters, falling flowers chase the water and flow, telling all the children, why must you seek idle sorrow?
Wow, yeah. That's basically the whole novel in 4 lines. It tells us, first, all this youthful beauty, these relationships, they're temporary, they'll vanish like a dream, like flowers on the water.
Ephemeral.
And second, their suffering, their idle sorrow, it's kind of self-inflicted, or at least tied to their mortal state, yet somehow inevitable for them. And this leads him to the guide figure, the absolute key to this whole cosmic setup, the disillusionment fairy. And even where she lives tells you everything. Her abode is in the heaven of parting sorrow and the sea of pouring grief, the emotional landscape of the novel right there.
So what's her job exactly? Her title, Disillusionment. Sounds helpful.
Well, her title clarifies her cosmic role. She's the keeper of amorous debts, Feng Yuezai, and she oversees female resentment and male foolishness, Baiyum Yuan Nanchi.
Okay, so she's like a celestial bookkeeper for bad romance.
Sort of, but it's more active than that. The text says she visits the mortal world to spread infatuation. She's not necessarily helping them see clearly. She's part of the mechanism of entanglement.
Ah, so Bayu and the others aren't just falling in love by chance.
Exactly. This framing suggests they're fulfilling these, karmic obligations, paying back romantic debts from past lives, and the disillusionment fairy is making sure the accounts are settled, usually through suffering.
That's heavy. Okay, so she guides him, and they arrive at the main entrance, the Taixu Illusory Land, Taisu Wanjing.
And the couplet over this main gate, it's basically the philosophical thesis of the whole book. It blurs the line between the story and, the author talking directly to us.
What does it say?
When the false is taken for true, the true becomes false. When nothing is taken for something, something becomes nothing. Okay, unpack that. That's a lot.
It's pure Buddhist and Taoist thinking, really. It's saying the world Baoyu experiences, the luxury, the beauty, the emotions, it's all temporary, illusory, false.
So if you treat that illusion as the real deal,
then you lose sight of actual reality, which in this philosophy is enlightenment, or maybe emptiness, nothingness. So clinging to the beautiful illusion means you make the truly real disappear for yourself. It establishes Bayu's world as fundamentally unreal.
Got it. But the tour isn't over. There's another gate.
Yes, the next gate is the Sea of Sin, Heaven of Love, Nie King King Kian. And this is where the problem expands beyond just Baoyu's personal choices. It becomes cosmic.
What does the couplet here say? This one emphasizes how inescapable it all is. Great earth and high heaven, lament that ancient and modern love is never exhausted. Foolish boys and resentful girls, pity that the debts of romance are hard to repay.
Wow. So their personal heartbreaks are just
Yeah.
the latest installment payment on this massive, ancient debt of love and suffering.
That's the implication. Their tears aren't just personal failings. They're part of this cosmic cycle.
That's incredibly bleak. And inside these gates, he sees actual offices, like a bureaucracy of suffering.
Yeah, it's structured like that. He sees the office of obsession, the office of resentment, office of morning tears, office of night grudges. It's like an org chart for human emotional pain.
Does he get to see what's inside?
Well, he wants to. But the fairy tells him his mortal eyes and dusty body aren't really fit to see the secret records kept there. These offices hold the fates, the past and future registers of all the women under heaven.
Their destinies are already written down, fixed,
That's what it suggests.
predetermined.
But Bayu, being Bayu,
Yep.
pushes, right? Of course. He's already rejected duty, embraced sensuality. Now he demands to see the fate that choice has likely locked in, he insists. So the fairy reluctantly lets him have a peek.
And where does she take him? To the final and maybe the most chilling place. The Thin Fate Division. Fomik Thin Fate. Just the name alone.
It says it all, doesn't it? It basically sentences the female characters right there. Their destiny is defined by fragility, by sorrow, by being short-lived. It's the dark side of all that beauty.
And there's one last couplet here.
Yes. Over the door of the Thin Fate Division, and it's brutal. Spring resentment and autumn sorrow are all self-inflicted. For whom do flower face and moon appearance blossom?
Self-inflicted how?
Well, it seems to link their suffering directly to their own nature. Their beauty, their sensitivity, their heightened emotions, the very things that make them so captivating, especially to Bao Yu,
So the things he loves most about them.
are the very things that doom them, according to this prophecy. Their flower face and moon appearance, their beauty, it blooms only to attract sorrow and resentment, like flowers inevitably facing the changing seasons. Right from the start is Bao Yu's reaction. He's kind of clueless, cosmically speaking.
Yeah, he's still very much a young, privileged nobleman.
Totally. So when the fairy attendant in charge, this figure named Jinghuan, starts showing him these faded records, Bao Yu isn't thinking about grand destiny or anything.
No, he just asks, can I see the ones for Jinling? His home province.
Exactly. He's only interested in the girls he knows. He completely misses the universal kind of tragic law that's being laid out for him.
And that kind of sets up the whole structure of fate in this world, doesn't it? Because Jinghuan the fairy, she doesn't just give him one big book of doom.
No, she explains that fate, or maybe tragedy, it has this rigid structure. It's tiered, almost like the aristocratic households themselves.
Right. So there are levels to this archive of sadness.
Precisely. She lays out 3 main tiers, organizing the women based on their importance to the story, their narrative weight.
So what are they?
Okay, so the top level is the Zhengse. That's the main register. It holds the 12 crown heads, the really central female figures, the absolute stars of the tragedy, you could say.
Got it. The main characters.
Then below that, you've got the Fuxi, the secondary register.
Okay.
And then one level down again, the Yu Fuxi, the tertiary register.
So main, secondary, tertiary.
Yeah.
It immediately tells you something, right? That even though Bao Yu knows tons of girls, the ones whose fates really matter in this grand cosmic scheme are actually quite few.
Yeah, and Jinghuan drives this point home. Bao Yu mentions, I know hundreds of girls back home, wondering why there are only 12 slots in the main book.
And her response is just chilling.
It is. She says basically, other ordinary commoners have no register to be recorded, just flat out.
Wow, that's such a sharp commentary on class, even within tragedy. It means even the lowest tier we're looking at, the tertiary one, is still for people whose downfall has some weight in this world.
Their fates matter to the narrative, unlike the truly common folk. So if we start there with the tertiary register, the Yu Fuxi, we immediately hit this theme. It's about the clash between like a noble spirit and a low social position.
Okay, what's the first one like?
The first entry Bao Yu sees uses this imagery of water ink splattered, full of dark clouds and turbid fog. It just sounds messy, unpleasant.
Definitely doesn't sound like a happy fate.
No. And the prophecy attached is just brutal. It says, heart higher than heaven, body low status, cleverness breeds envy, short life often due to slander. The passionate young master worries in vain.
Oof. Heart higher than heaven, body low status. That's it right there, isn't it? Someone whose spirit or ambition doesn't match their place in society.
Exactly. And their cleverness doesn't save them. It actually makes things worse. It attracts envy, malicious gossip, slander. And Bao Yu's affection, his worry, it's all in vain.
That conflict is just core to this book.
Yeah.
So what about the second tertiary entry?
Similar theme, slightly different angle. The imagery is a cluster of fresh flowers, a broken mat. So beauty mixed with something damaged or lowly.
Okay.
And the prophecy goes, vainly gentle and obedient. Enviable is the actor's fortune, who knew the master has no connection.
The actor, that sounds specific. Low status connection.
Precisely. It points to someone connected to the theatrical world, which was considered very low status, possibly scandalous. So her goodness, her gentleness, it's vain, useless against these associations the family wants to ignore or suppress.
So the tertiary register is really about that mismatch, spirit versus station, and social stigma. What about the next level up, the secondary?
Moving up to the Fuxi, the secondary register, the theme seems to shift a bit. Less about social disgrace, more towards isolation, loneliness, displacement.
What's the imagery?
It's a cassia tree, dry pool, withered lotus dead roots. Everything is dried up, dead, barren.
Not exactly thriving.
Not at all. And the prophecy hits hard on this loneliness. Root sharing fragrance with the lotus stem. Since two places gave rise to a lonely tree, resulting in the fragrant soul returning empty to the homeland.
A lonely tree, returning empty. So it links her fate directly back to where she came from.
Yeah, it suggests she was maybe displaced, brought into the Jia family's world, but never truly belonged or thrived. She ends up like this lonely tree, and her spirit, her fragrant soul, goes back home, but empty. It's a profound sense of failure and isolation.
Okay, so if the lower tiers are handling these like specific types of tragedy, social status, isolation, then the main register, the Jiangxi,
Right.
this must be where the really big, complex fates are tangled up, the core character.
That's exactly right. This is where we find the predictions for the novel's central figures. And these are famously tricky, very poetic, very dense.
Not straightforward fortunes, then.
Definitely not. They don't use names. They use these visual riddles packed with symbolism. You really need to know the characters, their symbols, even Chinese wordplay sometimes to figure them out.
All right, let's try one. How about the first one? The most famous pairing, maybe.
Ah, yes. The iconic duo. The two main rivals for Bayu's heart. The imagery is incredibly evocative. Two withered trees, a jade girdle hanging on them, a pile of snow, a golden hairpin buried under the snow.
Withered trees, jade, snow, gold. Okay, what's the verse?
The prophecy reads, "Lamentable stopping loom virtue, who pities willow catkin talent, jade girdle hanging in the wood, golden hairpin buried in the snow."
Okay, stopping loom virtue, willow catkin talent. Those sound like descriptions of different kinds of ideal womanhood almost.
They are, but the key here, the real insight, is how the imagery links to their names. Jade girdle hanging in the wood. Well, the character for Lin Dayu's surname means wood or forest.
Oh, okay, got it.
And golden hairpin buried in the snow. Su, the character for Su Beibachai's surname, means snow.
Wow, okay, so the image is the clue. It's literally spelling out their tragic ends using symbols tied to their names and contrasting their core virtues, Dayu's talent, with Achai's traditional virtue.
Exactly. They are bound together, even in this prophecy of decay and death. Withered trees, buried hairpin. It's bleak.
Okay, that's powerful. What's next in the main register?
Next up, we get one that feels much more political. It hints at the whole family's connection to power and its downfall. The imagery is simple. A bow, a citron hanging on the bough.
A bow and a suit. How does that translate?
Well, the prophecy is surprisingly specific. Distinguish right from wrong for 20 years. Pomegranate flowers eliminate the palace chambers. How can 3 springs compare to the first spring scene? Tiger and rabbit meet, the great dream ends.
Palace chambers.
Yeah.
That points directly to one character, doesn't it? The imperial concubine, Yuanqin.
Mm-hmm. It places her right in the imperial court. Well, look at the details. 20 years. That sets a time frame.
And tiger and rabbit meat. That sounds like zodiac signs.
Exactly. It refers to the specific skillical year in the Chinese calendar when everything collapses. It's like an expiration date stamped on the family's prosperity, tied directly to her fate.
That's incredibly precise. It raises that question again if it's all mapped out, right down to the year.
Yeah.
What's the point?
That is the central tension, I think. We'll get back to the why behind the dream itself in a bit, but let's look at another fate first. One focused on transience, fleeting existence.
Okay.
The imagery is flying clouds, a bay of passing water. Very ephemeral.
Sounds beautiful but sad.
And the fate reflects that. It's about deep loneliness, starting right from childhood. Wealth and rank, what are they for? Parents died in infancy, gazing at the setting sun, Xiang River water flows, Chu clouds fly.
Oh, wow. Orphaned young, despite wealth. And the ending feels like being swept away.
Huh.
The Xiang River, Chu clouds that evokes the south, a sense of wandering.
Yes, a feeling of being adrift, disconnected, carried away by forces beyond her control, a profound sense of loss.
Okay, one more from the main register.
The last one we'll touch on here is maybe the most stark. It represents a complete rejection of the world Bayu knows. The image is just an ancient temple. Inside a beauty is watching scriptures, sitting alone.
The fate is right there in the picture.
It is, and the verse confirms it. Seeing through the briefness of the spring scene, black robes replace former beauty, pitiable embroidered chamber noblewoman sleeping alone beside the ancient Buddha lamp.
From noblewoman in embroidered chambers to a solitary life in a temple, black robes replacing fine silks.
It's this powerful image of someone recognizing the The ultimate vanity of worldly life, of beauty, of everything the novel has shown us, and choosing monasticism instead.
So we've seen this incredibly detailed hierarchical structure of fate in the registers. Bleak stuff. But let's circle back to that why. Why is Jinghuan, the fairy, showing all this to Bayu? She even says she's worried about leaking heavenly secrets.
Right, and the conversation Bayu has with her reveals the whole mission. It wasn't Bayu's idea, or even Jinghuan's really. It comes from the family ancestors.
The spirits of the founding dukes, Ning and Rong.
The very same. They're worried. Deeply worried. They know the family's luck, its allotted time of prosperity is expended. It's run out.
And they look around and see no decent successor.
Basically, yeah. They see Baoyu, their main hope, but they view him as having this childish obstinacy, a strange nature. He's not the guy to turn things around.
So the dream is, what? A desperate attempt to wake him up.
Kind of, but the method is fascinatingly paradoxical. Jinghuan says her mandate, given by the dukes, was to first use sensuality and pleasure to alert his childish obstinacy.
Use pleasure to teach him. To reject pleasure. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does. The goal is to make him jump out of the confusing circle of worldly desires and find the right path, presumably towards responsibility or even spiritual understanding. But they decide the way to do that is through intense exposure to beauty and allure.
So the whole illusionary realm, this dreamscape, is designed to be incredibly beautiful, seductive almost.
Absolutely. It's a sensory overload. Everything is constructed from the essence of fleeting beauty, which makes the underlying message of vanity and tragedy even more potent.
Like what kind of details?
Well, take the incense burning there. It's called Quintessence of All Blooms.
Sounds lovely.
And it's made from the essence of rare plants from famous mountains and oils of various precious forests. The most exquisite natural scents. But it's literally made from things that bloom and then die. The beauty is temporary.
Okay, I see. And this is where the author's genius with language comes in too, right?
Well,
especially with the drinks.
Oh, absolutely. This is brilliant. The tea Bayu is served is called 1,000 Reds in One Hollow.
1,000 reds. Like flowers.
Yes, and it's brewed with dew on immortal flowers and spiritual leaves. Sounds divine, but the name in Chinese, Qianhong Yiku, sounds almost exactly like Qianhong Yiku, which means 1,000 reds weep together, or tragedy in one hollow.
Whoa. So the name itself is a pun on communal sorrow.
Exactly. The most beautiful tea is named for shared grief.
And the wine does something similar.
It does. The wine is called 10,000 Beauties in One Cup. Again, sounds amazing. It's made from these mythical ingredients: stamen of 100 flowers, juice of 10,000 trees, plus Kulin marrow mash and Phoenix milk yeast. Pure fantasy luxury.
Okay. Let me guess. The name is a pun.
You got it. Wanyantong Bay, the wine's name, sounds identical to Wanyantong Bay, meaning 10,000 beauties share grief.
So drinking the wine, consuming this ultimate beauty, is literally consuming shared sorrow.
Precisely. It suggests beauty and tragedy aren't just linked. They might actually be the same thing in this philosophical outlook. Two sides of one coin. The beautiful is inherently tragic because it's fleeting.
And that whole idea is then just hammered home by the final thing Baoyu sees written down.
Yeah, the final piece of text he encounters is a couplet hanging on the wall. It basically summarizes the entire realm's lesson. Subtle, spiritual, and beautiful place, fate is impossible to resist.
Fate is impossible to resist. That's pretty definitive.
And the scene itself, it starts elegantly, but there's this sense of foreboding. You've got Baoyu, our protagonist, drinking wine in this land of illusion. Then 12 celestial dancing girls appear. And our sources, thankfully, give us everything, every lyric, the philosophy behind it, the whole structure of this fated performance.
These songs, the 12 songs of the Red Chamber, they act as this kind of sorrowful, allegorical blueprint, a blueprint for the lives and ultimately the ruin of pretty much every major female character in the Jia family. It's foundational. Fate lead bear, sung right to the person who can't stop it.
What strikes me, though, is how the instructor, the goddess disenchantment, Jinghuan, she really makes a point of telling Baoyu this isn't entertainment. Why spell that out?
That's critical, actually. It immediately signals how serious, how prophetically true this whole thing is. She's saying, look, these aren't your standard theater pieces. They don't follow the usual rules, you know, the Xingdian, Jingmo roles, hero, scholar, clown, all that. And they're not stuck in standard musical forms either.
Yeah.
By ditching those rules, it becomes this raw, spontaneous lament. It's not drama. It's destiny speaking directly. Pure, emotion.
Right, unfiltered.
Exactly. And like you said, Jinwan sets this really crucial condition first. She tells Bao Yu he must read the manuscript, the lyrics, before he listens.
That's fascinating. Why?
Because if he doesn't engage intellectually first, the whole experience just becomes, as she puts it, like chewing wax, meaningless.
Ah, so the understanding, the prophetic meaning, has to come first. The sound alone isn't enough.
Precisely. He needs to grasp the content.
Wow. He has to basically study his own future suffering just to appreciate the music of his tragedy. These aren't just poems, they are the condensed fates, the core wisdom for pretty much every major character. The author essentially spills the beans on the whole plot way before we're even a quarter of the way through.
It's pretty bold, actually. There's no hiding the ball. It kicks off right away with the Uthi, the prelude, which asks this huge question. Back in the primordial chaos, who started this whole passion thing? Who planted that seed?
And the answer it gives, bam, sets the stage for everything.
Yeah.
It's all down to the sheer intensity of passion, this obsession with love, with beauty, with connection.
And that intensity has consequences.
Huge ones. The prelude spells it out. The end result of all this is grieving for gold and mourning for jade, Bao Chai and Dayu. It tells us straight up, this is a tragedy built on these karmic love debts and our attachment to, well, everything.
So if that's the foundation, this overwhelming karmic debt of love, let's look at how the prophecies structure that core emotional storm, the one that really tears the family apart from the inside.
Yeah, let's get into that first major collision of fates. It's captured so perfectly in the song Orit, which translates to something like life's misfortune or a lifetime's error. And this really lays out the novel's central dilemma, doesn't it? This pull between what society says is a good match and what your soul, maybe, is actually connected to.
It does. It contrasts the two big paths for Bao Yu. On one hand, you've got the golden and jade match. That's the sensible choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
The marriage to Su Baochai. It's stable, respectful, socially approved.
Everyone would nod along. Looks perfect on paper.
Exactly. But then looming right beside it is the hiatus, the wood and stone pact. This deep, almost spiritual, preordained bond he shares with Lin Dayu. The song calls her the Yu Yuashu.
Which is such beautiful imagery, the lonely fairy from the secluded woods. It captures her otherworldliness.
It really does. And the tragic irony hits you immediately. The song notes that the marriage with Bao Chai actually achieves, that old image of perfect marital harmony, raising the tray respectfully. It works on that level.
So it's a successful marriage by all outward appearances.
Right. But even in that success, Bao Yu feels this profound, this deep, unresolved feeling, like a constant low-level resentment or just discontent. You did the right thing, got the approval, but your heart's still stuck somewhere else. With Dayu.
Wow. So you can have respect and still feel completely empty.
That's the tragedy of it. And that feeling, that emptiness, just flows straight into the very next song, Vain Regret or Futile Frowning.
Okay, so if the first song was about the wrong choice maybe being made despite appearances.
This one's about the right connection, the fated one, that just can't find its footing in the real world. It paints Dayu and Bao Yu as these cosmic soulmates. She's the Pohu, this flower from paradise.
And he's the Tie, the flawless jade, perfect compliments.
Destined to meet, you feel it, but also somehow destined to fail.
And the song just lays that paradox bare, doesn't it? That agonizing question. So, si fais-je?
Exactly. If there wasn't some deep, strange destiny, why on earth did they even cross paths in this life? But, okay, if there is this destiny, why does everything they hope for, everything they feel, just evaporate?
It's brutal.
It is. All their connection, their understanding, their love, it's reduced to something totally ephemeral. The images used are just devastating.
Yeah.
Their hope is like the moon's reflection in the water or a flower you see in a mirror.
You can see it, you desperately want it, but you can't touch it. It's not real. Not in that tangible way.
Precisely. And the cost of this unattainable love, it's measured in tears. So many tears. The song says they flow from autumn to winter, spring to summer.
It's not just sadness, it's constant. A whole life defined by weeping.
It reinforces that idea of a karmic debt, right?
Yeah.
Their bond began with a promise involving tears, and now the debt has to be paid in full. Endlessly, it seems. It's high drama, absolutely, but framed as inescapable fate.
So the central love story is buoyed by its own intensity and by fate. What about the others? The prophecies seem to shift gears a bit then.
They do. They move from that central whirlpool of love and loss to look at the fates of other key figures, especially the women. It asks, well, what happens when prosperity, even virtue, runs up against the sheer fact of transience, particularly for those who aren't quite caught in that main love drama?
Right, and we see these sudden collapses, like lamenting transients. This one's about Kingwyn, right? The maid.
Yes, the very spirited, maybe somewhat defiant maid. Her fall is just abrupt and seemingly unfair. The line goes, Shay! So like, just when things are looking good, glory and prosperity are at their peak. Boom! Transience hits.
Exactly. Impermanence, the unpredictable end just arrives. No warning, she's exiled, dies young. Everything she had, it's all thrown away in an instant.
And that theme of separation, of being forced away, carries into the next one too. Separated kin. This is about Tanchun, the really capable sister. Yeah, the practical, intelligent one. Her fate isn't death, but exile of a different kind. A long journey, forced separation from her family. The prophecy paints this picture. A ship on a 3,000-mile journey through wind and rain, far, far away.
So her tragedy is that severing of ties.
Right. And the song gives her this sort of resigned dignity. It states that separations and reunions, that they aren't random, they're fated. Same with fortune and poverty. Kai, it's all predetermined.
So she just has to accept it. Tell her family, don't get dragged down with me.
It's a sad kind of strength, accepting that predestined split.
Okay, so then we get someone who actively tries to steer clear of all this romantic drama, Shi Shangyan. Her fate is in Hei, joy in sorrow.
Yes, Xianyin, she's depicted as Yan. Really broad-minded, generous, almost heroic in a way. She pointedly avoids getting tangled up in all the petty romances consuming the others.
And she seems to succeed for a while. Builds a good life.
She does. She marries well. A talented, handsome partner. It seems like she's overcome her difficult upbringing, achieved stability, maybe even something lasting.
But the prophecy says no.
Nope. Even that carefully built, virtuous life isn't immune. It just dissolves abruptly.
Yeah.
Like clouds dispersing, like a river drying up. Gone.
And the explanation for why is pretty chilling.
It is. The author just says this collapse is it's just the natural rhythm of growth and decay in the mortal world.
Yeah.
Basically, nothing lasts. Your virtue, your planning, it doesn't shield you from the cycle.
Wow. Okay. That's bleak. And then, maybe the bleakest of all, Miaoyu the nun, intolerable to the world.
Ah, Miaoyu. Yes, her prophecy is, I think, philosophically the most challenging one in the set.
It really bothered me, too, because you expect purity and detachment to be, well, rewarded in some way. But Miaoyu is described as having this incredible talent, this deep purity, like an orchid, talent like a celestial being.
Exactly. She's too good, too pure. And that, paradoxically, is her downfall. The world can't handle it.
It flips the script on merit. The song says it outright. If you're too eminent, people get jealous. If you're too pure, the world finds you suspect, dislikes you.
Her very perfection becomes her flaw in the eyes of a flawed world. It's not a moral failing on her part. It's an aesthetic one, almost. She stands out too much.
And the result is horrific. Her Ensa, that flawless white jade purity, gets trapped in the mud. She's defiled, ruined.
Destroyed, degraded, leading to this incredibly lonely, awful end. The image is an old woman, alone in a desolate temple with just a single dim lamp.
So the message is, in this world, even perfection is a dangerous liability.
That seems to be what the author's suggesting. It's a deeply pessimistic take on the nature of the dusty realm.
Okay, so we've seen destructive passion leading to sorrow. We've seen virtue and avoidance still end in transience or even degradation. What's the third angle the prophecies cover?
Well, alongside passion and purity, there's the path of cold, hard calculation, trying to control the world through cleverness and maneuvering.
Ah, right. And that brings us straight to Wang Shifeng, doesn't it? And the song Burden of Cleverness, or Destroyed by Cleverness.
Absolutely. This is her story. She's the brilliant manager, sharp, effective, maybe ruthless. She runs the household, juggles the finances, plays the political games.
She seems totally in control.
She thinks she is. But her prophecy is the ultimate cautionary tale against trying to outsmart fate, trying to game the system.
She calculated every mechanism too cleverly.
Only to miscalculate her own life's end. All her scheming, all her intricate plans ultimately turned back on her.
And the collapse, when it comes, isn't subtle.
Not at all. The image is incredibly dramatic.
Ah,
Like a huge mansion suddenly thunderously collapsing. All that effort, all that accumulated power and wealth, just gone. Her own cleverness became the very thing that brought it all crashing down.
phew. Okay. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? There's a glimmer of something else after Xifeng's fall.
That's true. The sources offer a counterpoint, a crucial one, in See Yue leaving remaining blessings. This concerns Xifeng's daughter, Qiuji.
Right, so how does that work?
This song really emphasizes the idea of lingering karma, but positive karma. Specifically, it points to the virtue of Qiuji's grandmother, Lady Wang Si. She accumulated hidden merit through good deeds.
And that protects the daughter later on.
Yes. Despite the family's utter collapse, yes, she unexpectedly encounters a benefactor, someone who helps her. The song implies this is a direct result of those past good deeds, a kind of karmic inheritance.
So it's like a moral footnote to the disaster.
Pretty much. And it comes with a sharp warning against those who do betray ties for gain. It mentions the cruel uncles and brothers who prioritize money over family. The message is, the structure might fall, but basic human decency still matters for who maybe crawls out of the wreckage.
Okay, that makes sense. But then reality bites back again pretty quickly with the next one. Church, late youth.
Yeah, this one focuses on the three sisters who achieved high status through marriage or position: Yuan Shun, the imperial concubine, Ying Chen, and Xu Chun. It's all about how fast time slips away. How quickly that beautiful youth is gone.
They reached the top, didn't they? Gold seals, fancy robes, imperial favor for Yuan Chun.
The absolute pinnacle of worldly success. But the prophecy delivers the cold truth. All that status, sure show. It can't stave off impermanence, it can't buy you more time, it can't stop fate.
So what's the point of it all then?
According to this, it ends up being just an empty name for future generations to maybe remember or respect. Their grand journey, like everyone else's, leads towards the dim, gloomy road to the underworld. Status is just another illusion.
Okay, so we're closing in on the final summary here. The prophecies seem to circle back to the root cause.
Exactly. We get the end of good deeds, or maybe the end of the good times, and it delivers the final verdict on why the whole magnificent Jia family enterprise collapses.
And the reason is?
Stark and direct. Being skilled in charm, possessing moon-like beauty, that is the root cause of the family's ruin.
Wow. So it comes back to beauty and passion again.
Fundamentally, yes. It hammers home that central theme one last time. All the past karma, all the downfall, ultimately stems from qing, from passion, from emotional entanglement, from that initial seed of love-debt.
Which leads us to the grand finale, the last prophetic piece, the birds exhausted, entering the forest.
This is it, the final accounting. The moment the cosmic scales are balanced, all the debts are finally settled. Everything that happened, the song stresses, was yay. It was all predetermined, set in stone from the beginning.
So after all that chaos, what's left? What are the options for the survivors?
Only two paths remain, really. There are those the ones who truly see through the illusions, the illusion of love, status, wealth, even purity. They retreat into emptiness, into detachment, usually becoming monks or nuns.
And the others?
The others are the Tai, those still obsessed, still caught up in the passions and attachments of the world. And for them, they just waste their lives, throw them away in vain pursuit of illusions.
And the final image the prophecy leaves us with?
It's unforgettable.
Utterly. It foreshadows the very end of the novel. The world, after all the drama, all the color, all the noise, just resolves into this stark, empty landscape. A vast, clean, white expanse. Everything wiped clean. Emptiness. But now, here's that profound irony we touched on earlier, the thing that bridges us to the next part. Bao Yu has just heard all of this. His future, the futures of all these women, laid bare. What's his reaction?
He completely misses the point. It's almost unbelievable. Despite the poetry, the specific images, fading lamps, wolves, endless tears, he finds the actual content scattered and baseless.
Oh, he hears the music.
He hears the sound. He notes it's incredibly sorrowful, powerful enough to consume the soul and intoxicate the spirit. He appreciates the artistry of the sadness.
But dismisses the actual message, the tragic meaning of the fate it describes.
Rejects it entirely. It's this fundamental failure of vision, really.
And that's what makes Jing Huan change tack.
Exactly. That failure prompts her to pivot the whole conversation. She confronts him directly right after the songs, moves from the external prophecies to his internal nature, and she calls him the ancient and modern first lustful person, Di Yin Ren.
Okay, this is where the text gets really radical, because lustful person immediately makes you think of, well, traditional vice. But Jing Huan shoots that down.
She does. She offers this critical, really profound distinction. First, she describes physical lust, Pifu Yunlan.
Okay, what's that?
That's the base kind, focusing only on looks, endless flirting, just wanting to possess beautiful women physically. Jing Huan dismisses this as the behavior of stupid beings. It's common garden variety stuff.
Right, and Bao Yu is the opposite.
Yes. His defining trait is intentional lust, yin. This is described as his unique segment of infatuation, Jing Ke. It's presented as a spiritual state, something that has to be understood by the heart, not just spoken about. It's this innate, pure, profound empathy, a spiritual connection to women that goes way beyond the physical.
It's his ability to really get them, to connect with their inner lives.
That's it, precisely.
Okay, but if this intentional lust is basically pure empathy, why is it still called lust? And why is it apparently so dangerous that a goddess needs to step in? Isn't being the good friend to the girls a good thing?
Jing Huan actually acknowledges that benefit.
Yeah.
She confirms, yes, this empathy makes him a beloved confidant in the inner chambers. However, she gives this dire warning about how it plays out in the real world. In the social world, the Shidao, the world of men, politics, practical stuff, he'll be seen as outdated and strange. This purity of feeling, this yi-yin, makes him subject to universal scorn and 100 mouths of mockery.
So his spiritual gift is actually his social downfall. He just doesn't fit into the structures of power and governance. That's a huge problem for the heir of a major clan.
It's a massive problem.
Yeah.
Because his focus on king, on sentiment, makes him basically useless for Zhang Jizidao, for practical statecraft, which is what his family and society needs him for.
Right. Okay, but here's the part I find really puzzling. If the problem is fundamentally spiritual, this mismatch between his empathy and practical demands, why does Jing Huan use a physical solution? She immediately marries him off to her sister, Jian Mei, who is also Keking, right there in the dream.
That's the shock treatment part. It seems counterintuitive, but the goal isn't to encourage physical lust. Not at all. It's designed to give him a very contained, controlled experience of the affairs of clouds and rain, Yunyu Zishi, but only within the safety of the illusion, the dream world.
So it's meant to be instructive.
Entirely instructive. The whole exercise is meant to feel fleeting, ephemeral, to shock him into realizing that even the deepest human connections, even physical intimacy, are ultimately like a dream. The purpose is purely didactic. Once he sees how transient even that is, he's supposed to turn back to studying Confucius, Mencius, practical statecraft, the serious stuff.
It's like a radical, almost therapeutic intervention, trying to force him to grow up and face reality, even if he finds that reality deeply unappealing. But the dream doesn't just gently end there.
No, not at all. After this romantic interlude, the lesson takes this abrupt, terrifying turn. They're wandering, and the dreamscape just shifts instantly. From intimacy to danger, they reach the Mijin.
The Ford of Delusion, the name says it all.
It really does. The geography itself becomes symbolic of danger. Suddenly the path is blocked by thorny brush. You see wolves and tigers together, clear symbols of corruption and peril. And there's this black creek, deep and dark with no bridge. Jing Huan rushes after them, screaming at them to turn back. Don't go further into delusion.
And she emphasizes the danger.
Oh, absolutely. She stresses the Mijin is 10,000 fathoms deep. Crossing is nearly impossible. It requires a special raft, steered only by the wooden hermit and the ash attendant.
Figures symbolizing
Well,
detachment.
exactly. Total spiritual detachment. Non-attachment to the material world, to illusion. It represents the point of no return for anyone still caught up in worldly delusions.
But the lesson gets cut short. The climax hits before he can process it.
Right. Before Jing Huan can even finish her warning, the water just roars up and these sea ghosts and demons literally drag Bao Yu down into the abyss.
And his last desperate act in the dream.
He screams out the name of his dream wife, the sister of the goddess, "Keking, save me!" And then he wakes up. Back in his own bed, maids around him, terrified, drenched in sweat.
And this brings us to that incredible, chilling detail, the one that connects this whole prophetic spiritual journey right back to the waking world.
Yes, it's phenomenal. King, the real woman in the household, whose name Jian Mei, was used for the dream sister. She happens to be standing just outside his room, and she overhears him cry out her intimate pet name in his sleep. A name the text stresses that no one here ever knew.
Wow.
That tiny impossible detail just snaps everything together. It ties the dream's spiritual warning, its prophecy, directly into the real King's own mysterious circumstances and ultimately her fate. It validates the dream's power.